The storm was made of light. Pale blue arcs of energy tore through the violet sky, splitting the horizon in jagged veins that illuminated the ruins of what had once been a great city. The air shimmered with ionized dust and the metallic taste of ozone. Through it all, a lone figure trudged across the cracked obsidian plain, his suit scorched, visor cracked, an oxygen warning blinking a stubborn red dot. Ethan Cole, field engineer for the Terran Frontier Corps, had seen a lot of planets. None had ever wanted him dead quite this badly. Note to self, he muttered into the storm. Next time command says routine survey, ask for hazard pay. His comlink crackled with static, the voice of his AI companion barely cutting through. Signal integrity, 23%. Ethan, radiation levels are spiking. Yeah, I noticed, he said, shielding his eyes from another flash. Any sign of the outpost? Still triangulating. Local architecture interferes with sensors. Great, he sighed. I'm surrounded by an alien art museum that wants to fry me. He adjusted his rifle sling, scanning the ghostly ruins around him, elegant spires carved from crystal, half collapsed under the weight of centuries. This world, Valora, had once been home to the Valinari, an ancient species known for their psychic resonance technology, devices that operated not by circuits, but by emotion. Most of their civilization had been wiped out during the Imperial Purge, leaving behind only relics and ruins that hummed when the wind howled. Ethan didn't believe in ghosts, but Valora made him reconsider. Then he heard it, faint, delicate, a sound that didn't belong in a dead city. A voice, a song. He froze, his hand instinctively tightening around his rifle. The melody floated through the static-filled air, haunting, wordless, and impossibly pure. It wasn't broadcast. It was alive. Cautiously, he followed it into a shattered amphitheater. The floor cracked like a spider's web. At its center, surrounded by faintly glowing shards, sat a figure. She was small, draped in torn ceremonial fabric, her pale luminescent skin flickering like candlelight. Her eyes, or what should have been eyes, were covered by a strip of black crystal. The faint singing came from her lips, trembling as though she sang to keep herself from breaking apart. Ethan lowered his weapon. Hey, are you hurt? She startled, her song cutting off abruptly. Her head turned toward the sound of his voice, movements too precise to be blind, yet too lost to be seeing. Who's there? She whispered. Her accent carried a musical lilt, the alien cadence soft and fluid. My name's Ethan Human, he added quickly, unsure if that would help or make things worse. Her posture stiffened. You shouldn't be here. They'll come back. The soldiers, she said faintly. They burned the healers, took the children. I hid here. Ethan looked around at the ruins, scorch marks, collapsed scaffolding, shattered tools. Imperial soldiers. He'd seen their handiwork before. Whatever had happened here wasn't ancient, it was recent. He approached slowly, hands open. You're hurt? No, she said, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Not in a way you can fix. When he crouched beside her, the full extent of her injuries became clear. Her eyes were gone. The crystal over her face wasn't it was fused. Scar tissue glimmered faintly where the energy burns had sealed them shut. He felt a cold fury build in his chest. Who did this to you? The Empire, she whispered. They said the blind are useless. He exhaled slowly. Yeah, he muttered. That sounds like them. For a long moment, neither spoke. The storm raged above, lightning painting the ruins in shifting hues of amethyst and ice. Finally, Ethan stood, setting down his pack. Stay still. I'm going to help you. You can't, she said quietly. Your machines don't work on us. Our senses aren't like yours. Maybe not, he said, already unpacking tools. But I'm an engineer, not a magician. I don't need to understand how it works. I just need to make something that does. He scavenged from the debris shards of Valinari crystal, fragments of old resonance tech, and a lens from his own cracked visor. Working by instinct and stubbornness, he began to assemble something small, delicate, and wholly untested. The girl listened in silence as the human worked through the night. Occasionally, she spoke, hesitant at first, then more freely. My name is Sarah, she said softly. I was an apprentice healer before they came. Nice to meet you, Sarah, he said, tightening a connection. Let's see if I can make you a prototype worth singing about. She tilted her head, sensing the humor in his voice. You're strange for a soldier. Not a soldier, he said. An engineer who got bad directions. When he finally finished, the device looked crude, a headband of alloy and crystal, humming faintly with blue light. He knelt before her. Okay, this might sting. Ready? I've already been burned, she murmured. Do what you must. He placed the visor gently against her temples. The crystal reacted immediately, flaring with faint luminescence. The alien tech, ancient Valinari design fused with Terran ingenuity, responded not to commands, but to emotion. Ethan steadied her as she gasped. The air shimmered, then light. She blinked rapidly, trembling as the world returned in fractured waves of color and shape. Her eyes, now refracted through the crystal, glowed faintly, not sight as humans knew it, but something beyond I can see, she whispered, tears tracing down her cheeks. The light sings again. Ethan exhaled, laughing softly in disbelief. Well, I'll be damned. It actually worked. Sarah turned toward him. her new gaze locking on his face. "You have light around you," she said, wonder in her tone. "Warm and live. I've never seen light move that way before." He swallowed, suddenly so. "I guess that's just how humans look through alien eyes." For the first time, she smiled. Outside, the storm finally broke, revealing a starlit sky. The ruins glowed softly in reflected moonlight. In that fragile moment, a bond was formed between an alien girl who'd lost everything and a human who refused to walk away. Neither knew that eyes were already watching them through drone lenses. High above the broken city, far across the wasteland, in a command center lined with steel and holographic fire, Admiral Cale Thorin leaned back in his chair as the feed flickered to life. "Play it again," he said. The footage replayed the human bending over the blind girl, fitting the prototype visor, light igniting across her face. Thorin's expression hardened. "Find that human and bring him to me, alive." The next sunrise over Varelia burned crimson through the mist. The city's spires looked less like architecture and more like the ribs of something ancient and sleeping. Mason woke to the low hum of alien turbines, a steady rhythm beneath the walls of Lyra's modest dwelling. He blinked against the haze of sleeplessness, then looked across the small chamber. Lyra sat cross-legged near the wall, her head tilted, her unseeing eyes following the sound of his breath. The faint lavender shimmer from her skin painted the room with soft light. "Human," she said, voice quiet but clear. "You work through the night again." Mason rubbed his temples and gave a tired grin. "You make it sound like a bad thing. I've almost got the calibration right." He gestured to the table where the visor lay, a curved, metallic band no wider than a ribbon, pulsing faintly with blue light. It was cobbled together from scavenged circuitry, pieces of his broken helmet, and what little alien tech he could reverse engineer without causing an explosion. Lyra's hands hovered near it but didn't touch. "You could be arrested for even touching Imperial tech. You know that?" "Yeah," Mason replied. "But I also know that no one else here gives a damn about helping you see again." There was a silence, the kind that felt like gravity. She exhaled slowly, lowering her head. "My world was built on obedience. You risk exile or death. For a stranger," he smiled faintly. "Maybe I just like fixing broken things." That evening, Mason attached the visor around her head. The alien metal flexed to her shape, almost alive. His hands trembled as he activated the power core. A hum filled the air, then a sharp crystalline flash. Lyra gasped. Her eyes, milky and sightless for years, flickered with violet light. For a heartbeat she saw nothing but haze and motion. Then clarity poured in. The first thing she saw was Mason, grease-stained human, smiling nervously. His heartbeat thundered in her mind like distant thunder. "Can see you," she whispered. Her voice broke. A tear, shimmering like liquid starlight, traced down her cheek. Mason's throat tightened. "Guess the prototype works." Without thinking, she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. The moment lingered to souls from different stars, bound by invention, defiance, and something unspoken. Later that night, Lyra stood by the balcony, gazing at the alien moon. Mason joined her, holding 2 cups of hot synth coffee. "How does it feel?" he asked. She turned to him with a soft smile. "It's overwhelming, beautiful, painful. I see every color, every breath of wind, even the things your visor wasn't meant to show." "What do you mean?" Her gaze shifted toward the horizon. "The visor connects to the mind. I can see energies." "Mason, the Empire's towers burn with something dark, something alive." Mason frowned. "You mean power signatures?" "No," she said quietly. "I mean souls, and many are crying out." The next morning a thunderous noise shattered their peace. 4 armored dropships tore through the sky, trailing black fire. The Imperial insignia gleamed on their hulls. Lyra froze. Her visor pulsed rapidly, reacting to the incoming signal. Mason ran to the window. "They've found us," she whispered. "How?" Mason demanded. She touched her temple. "The visor, it's linked to the royal network. They must have traced it." A metallic voice boomed outside. "By decree of the Varelian Empire, surrender the human engineer and the traitor," Lyra said. "Resistance will result in extermination." Mason looked at her. "You didn't tell me you were royalty." Her expression darkened. "I'm more than that," she said softly. "I'm the Emperor's daughter." The door burst inward. 4 elite soldiers stepped through the smoke, tall reptilian faces hidden behind polished obsidian masks. Their plasma rifles glowed in the dim light. Mason reached for his sidearm, heart pounding. "So that's why they called you a traitor." "They blinded me," she said. "We're refusing to serve their war." The soldiers aimed. Mason shoved Lyra behind him. "Guess that makes 2 of us." In a flash of motion, Lyra's visor flared, and the nearest soldier screamed as his weapon shattered midair, the metal twisting into molten light. Mason fired, dropping another with a single shot to the chest. They moved together, human and alien, chaos and grace, and when it was over, only silence remained. Smoke drifted through the doorway. Mason lowered his weapon. "You all right?" Lyra nodded faintly, trembling. "They won't stop." "Mason, not until you're dead." "Then we'll have to stop them first," he said. Outside, the red horizon burned brighter. The war had begun. The night swallowed the city as Mason and Lyra fled through the underbelly of Aurelia, the sewage tunnels that stank of rust and memory. Overhead, the echo of search drones droned like a swarm of metal wasps. Mason's boots splashed through shallow water as his hand gripped the sidearm tighter. Every step forward felt heavier, the air thick with the scent of ozone and dust. Lyra's hand brushed his arm for guidance, her visor now dimmed to a faint, pulsing glow. "They'll follow the energy trail," she said quietly. "The visor's signal draws them like blood." Mason grimaced. "Can we shut it down?" "Not without cutting my link to the network. If I do that, I go blind again." He hesitated, then shook his head. "No, you keep your sight. I'll deal with the rest." They emerged from a grate onto a ridge overlooking the neon wasteland beyond the city. In the distance, towers of the Empire pulsed with dark power, each a conduit feeding energy upward toward an enormous floating citadel. Lyra gazed at it, eyes glowing faintly through the haze. "That's where he waits," she murmured. "The Emperor." She nodded. "My father," Mason exhaled. "And I'm guessing he's not sending birthday cards." Her lips curved faintly. "He believes compassion is weakness. He blinded me to prove it." Hours later, they took refuge in an abandoned hangar, one of the old human outposts from the war before peace was declared. Mason scavenged parts from a broken drone, spreading them across the floor. "What are you doing?" Lyra asked. "Upgrading your visor," he said. "If they're tracking its signal, we'll make them chase a ghost." He worked silently, the glow of plasma sparks lighting his face. She watched him, the human who risked everything, tinkering with wires and hope. When he was done, he slid the visor back over her head. The hum changed. Softer, deeper. "Try it now." Her breath caught as the world flared into light. Not just visual, but emotional. She saw threads of energy connecting everything: Mason's pulse, the electric hum of the walls, even the faint remnants of memories embedded in metal. "Mason," she whispered, "you've made it stronger. I can see more than ever." He grinned. "Guess I'm not just good at fixing ships." Before she could reply, the world erupted in light. A plasma bolt slammed into the wall behind them. Mason ducked instinctively, dragging Lyra behind a support beam. The hangar doors exploded open as 3 hovercraft burst inside, Imperial insignia gleaming. "Move," Mason shouted. He fired twice, striking a drone before it could lock on. Lyra concentrated, her visor flared again, sending a wave of psychic distortion rippling through the air. The attacker's targeting systems glitched, plasma fire scattering harmlessly. Mason ran for the control terminal. "If I can get the old engines online." "We can." He didn't finish. A heavy metallic hand grabbed his throat and hurled him across the floor. Mason crashed into a wall, coughing. Out of the smoke stepped an armored giant nearly 8 feet tall, silver plating etched with crimson symbols. His voice echoed, deep and cold. "Human, you have something that belongs to the Empire." Lyra froze. "Commander Vo—" The soldier's visor tilted toward her. "Princess Lyra, you dishonor your bloodline." Mason rose, bruised but defiant. "She's not yours to command." Voron raised his weapon. "Then you'll die for her insolence."